Director and producer of Final Fantasy XIV, Naoki Yoshida, attended PAX East 2024 this weekend, and we got a little bit of Dawntrail news. He ran a panel covering a brief summary of the past 10 years of the game, as well as where he hopes to take the game in the new expansion this summer. If you want to watch the full event, I'll link it in the description below, but if you missed it, here's what you need to know. First off, we have a release date! Dawntrail will be launching July 2nd, 2024, hitting smack dab in the middle of their summer 2024 goal. If you pre-order the game, and let's be real, most of us will be pre-ordering the game, you'll get to play early access starting the previous Friday, June 28th, giving you the whole weekend to enjoy the Warrior of Light's summer vacation. Pre-orders will be live in just 3 days from the posting of this video. So if you're hoping to score a physical collector's edition, mark your calendars for Tuesday, March 26th, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon for Eastern. Windows and Mac players can plan to purchase the full collector's edition, which will include a copy of the game. While console players, all of them, PlayStation 4, PS5, all of our new friends at Xbox, Steam players, even Steam players, you will need to buy a digital collector's edition in order to receive the game and the in-game goodies. And then you should choose the collector's box in order to receive all of the physical items. And the physical items look really, really good. Considering my entire channel theme is called Rogue of Light, I happen to really love rogues and adventures, and I cannot wait for this entire
expansion, and the accessories in the addition are perfect. I literally named my free company Thieves of Dawn, and now we're getting an expansion called Dawntrail, and Viper is a dual wielder, and it looks so freaking cool, and the pin case literally looks like a cool pirate map thing when you unroll it, and I can update my Eorzea map that I have on my wall, and I'm so freaking excited, and
Anyway, I have to say, as a longtime fan of the game, having a summer release date just feels right. It's like everything is as it should be in the world again. And speaking of things going back to the way that they will be having a media tour this year. They've done this many times in the past, but if you're unfamiliar with the event, it's actually an opportunity for Final Fantasy XIV content creators to go out. They get flown out by Square Enix. They go and get a chance to be hands-on with the game. So they're going to be able to play Dawntrail early up in May. This is not going to include story sections of the game. It's just going to let them freely explore a couple of the early zones. And most notably, they're going to be hands-on with the new jobs, with the way that they feel. They'll be able to practice the new rotations. You're going to see a lot of videos coming out in May talking about what those might end up looking like and what the balance might end up feeling like. So please look forward to that. They also tend to release their job action trailer video in time with all of this so that you can get a good close glimpse at all of the new jobs. So please look forward to that as well. Yoshi-P did take advantage of this event to fill us in with, in my opinion, much needed insight onto kind of what their thought process is for gameplay in the upcoming expansion. This topic, they've kind of been sorely lacking in coverage for it in the previous FanFest news events that they've done so far. So I was really happy to get a little bit of insight into this here. They're saving the details for closer to the expansion launch, of course, but he did let us know that the team is already planning some large-scale encounter content to really bring the MMO back into MMORPG, since they have been very open about intentionally prioritizing solo content in Endwalker to bring in players that were initially shy about joining a game that had such a focus on multiplayer, which is understandable considering most of the Final Fantasy player base originally are a bunch of single player RPG players. So, you know, they wanted to let them in easy. But I think this change is coming at a perfect time, as they have also announced that the game has reached a whopping 30 million players. And with that many players, there's just so many different kinds of play styles to consider that bringing in a lot of variety of content just makes sense. And there's plenty of people available to party up with for this kind of content. So I'm really looking forward to that. In a recent interview with Famitsu, Yoshi-P does mention that he and the team have discussed how they've made such a focus on making the game as stress-free as possible that perhaps they've gone a little bit too far, since a little bit of stress is necessary and even fun. just to be part of like a gaming experience. This was initially taken as an indicator that perhaps they'd be raising the difficulty in Dawntrail a little bit, but he did clarify at the time that's not actually what he meant. So I found it very interesting that in today's presentation, he actually broaches the topic again in a somewhat different way. After a lengthy introduction going through the history of the expansions and making sure to specifically mention the difficulty of the raids over the years, what content they had available, and all of the player feedback for all of that, Yoshida then proceeds to say that there are plans to make content feel like a more fulfilling gaming experience. That was the term that he kept using. He mentions that he's aware that the current content can feel somewhat repetitive, which is true, noting that he even falls asleep sometimes when he's running certain duties. And I think a lot of us can relate there as well. So he says in Dawntrail, the team plans to switch it up a little bit, giving us more unique mechanics that will keep players on their toes, whatever that means. And he seems really stressed that he's gonna like lose the player base from increasing difficulty too much. Like he even makes a casual joke like earlier in the presentation about how when they released Titan Extreme back in A Realm Reborn, they lost like 300,000 players from their like player base. So yeah, he's quick to clarify here, like the jobs themselves will mostly be staying the same and that the difficulty is not gonna be changed like significantly. It's just that they wanna make more interesting encounters that are likely to keep players more engaged long term, and I am all for that. He also follows this up with an additional incentive, stating that they are increasing the amount of rewards you get for completing content. He even goes so far as to say specifically like 1.5 times the amount by patch 7.3. So he's taking it really seriously, like considering they've barely touched their fairly predictable reward structure since they first relaunched the game. I'm very intrigued as to what this is going to mean. Will it be more cosmetic items? Are we going to get like a more complex gearing system again? Like he said he wanted us to think of it as like a thank you for our continued subscription. So what exactly is the team coming up with that's supposed to entice the players that much? I, for one, am very happy to hear that the dev team is planning to take some risks this expansion. As someone who's been raiding in the game for a long time, I'm a bit biased toward harder content, but just as we talked about with the larger scale encounters, there's 30 million players in this game. It's going to be impossible to please everyone, so I think creating a variety of specialized content for different audiences is definitely the way to go. So I say, bring it on, Yoshi-P. Let's see what you throw at us. I hope you're as excited for Dawntrail as I am. This was a really great event. I was really happy to hear from Yoshi-P on some of his thoughts for the expansion. If you enjoy gaming news like this, considering subscribing, but also consider checking out my show, The Final Fantasy Show. I collect news headlines like this, both from 14 and the mainline games, round them all up into a short 5-minute segment so that you can stay up to date on all things Final Fantasy. And then if you'd like, you can stick around on the episode to watch a unique perspective on the series as I interview one of our many special guests from within the Final Fantasy community, from authors to musicians to content creators, all the things. We have a lot of awesome guests coming up. So feel free to check that out on my channel. And thanks so much for watching. I'm Siryn, and this has been Rogue of Light TV.